Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and apparently Nvidia, which is the Nvidia chip maker stock, has been going crazy. Now they're saying it's worth $102 million for every employee at Nvidia. Now, one thing that you probably don't know that's interesting about Nvidia is on the Link2 platform, Link2 is my sponsor. On the Link2 platform, they have a lot of AI plays. Okay, these are all AI private equity issues. There is one AI play, and I can't say which one, that Nvidia has invested in, and it's on there right now. So you're gonna want to go check. You'll see it when you get there. All right, and that's linqto.com. Check this out. The crypto markets have finally started moving a little bit. Breaking Bitcoin it jumps over $70,000 again. And then this guy, I don't know who this is, but it's a Bitcoin person who has over 78,000 followers, who's apparently a chart guy. So I take this serious because a Bitcoin maxi by nature is not into the altcoins as much. SRI indicator telling us that alt season has already started. I'm ready. I'm strapped in. This is a great clip right here. This is Marcus Infanger from Ripple.
You're running quite a lot of innovative projects at Ripple. Can you explain a little bit about the direction you guys are heading?
Yes, so I talk a little bit about the XRP Ledger, which is essentially public open source blockchain that Ripple works with and is one of the core developers alongside other developers. And so that blockchain was essentially designed with sort of institutional grade financial use cases in mind. So it's very cheap to make a transaction, fraction of a cent. It's very fast, 3 to 5 seconds, and it's scalable, and it has been battle tested. It's had 2.5 billion transactions in its 11-year history, more than any other blockchain, and has never had any security breach or something alike. And so it was designed with things like payments in mind, but we see also a lot of tokenization happening, non-fungible and functional as fungible. So for example, there's real estate projects. One is called Proper Home, based in Portugal, who are building a real estate market to buy, sell, and rent property on the XRP Ledger. There's carbon credit or carbon market projects that help to basically, make sure carbon credits are counted correctly and not double counted and so forth. And then there's, a lot of efforts from our side for CBDCs as well. We're engaging with like 12 or dozens of central banks. 4 pilots have been publicly announced already. And so there's a lot of interest from kind of like, stablecoin side as well. And so we definitely, put a lot of emphasis on sort of like this notion of institutional adoption of blockchain finance. And then on the Ripple net side of our house, we sort of help to really abstract these complexities to be able to interact, the seamless user experience, this usability that sometimes lacks if you need to plug in directly with these protocols. And so that's kind of like how we use this blockchain, for example.
And are you happy with the current, let's say, rule book? Because we talked about trust and rule book before. For now, happy, they should simply leave it for 3 years and...
I wouldn't say that's quite the truth. I mean, we have been very passionate about engaging with regulators. We have engaged with a lot of regulators. There's a lot of positive developments in places like Singapore, Japan, Brazil, the UAE, where you see really, and obviously the EU, right, with MiCA. It's maybe not, as a crypto native person, it's not perfect, but at least it's clear. Whereas in the US, which is obviously a very important market, you see this, kind of like this clarity being resolved through litigation, which I personally believe is not the most constructive.
And litigation never ends in.
Okay, now check this out. This is funny. This is John Deaton. He is out on the campaign trail, And this is a really good picture of John. He's behind the bar. He's serving beer. He looks completely natural and at ease, and the genuine person that I know him to be. He's pouring a pint for one of the customers. And so it reminded me of the time that when Elizabeth Warren was running for president, when she did this. This is just hilarious. She's so fake. I mean, and if she had any shame, this would be the most awkward and embarrassing moment of her life.
Welcome to 2019. You thought the campaigns were over, right, for a while, but no. The liberals have opened the 2020 presidential election with the return of an old candidate who desperately wants to be president. And the left coast elitist wants you to know that she drinks beer. Just watch.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer. Hey, Robert, my husband Bruce is now in here. You want a beer?
No, I'll pass on the beer for now.
You sure?
Okay.
Over and say hello to folks.
Yes.
So, this is my sweetie.
Hello.
And I'm crazy.
You are. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
I'm glad you're here.
Enjoy your beer.
Man, how fake is that?
What is that?
She would have done better to start yelling at her husband when he walked in the door, because I'm sure that's a lot more what it's like in that house.
She is now off the rails. She's announced she is running for president. There you go. Beer drinking Elizabeth Warren, the woman everyone wants to have a beer with. She fumbles with the cap. She can't even get it off. I think that's maybe her first beer in years, if ever. This is what she's resorted to. Think about this. The woman that said she was an Indian, proved she's not an Indian, then claims she was an Indian again, after proving it herself that she's not an Indian, now wants the world to know that she drinks beer, and that, folks, makes her ready to be president of the United States of America. If it happens, I'll be drinking a lot of those beers.
I would be drinking a lot of beers too. Here's another guy from Ripple talking about QR codes.
Are changing the way that 4 billion people bank and will handle their financial lives. Initially, this was payments, but with all of the different products and services that are being layered on top of that, increasingly people's financial lives is now through their phone. It's all across big cities like Shanghai and increasingly second and third tier cities, even in Tibet, that have QR codes that they're using to accept mobile payments. And that's incredibly empowering. It allows people access not only to financial services, but as we'll see, to payments, but increasingly a larger amount of financial services as well. All of the things that we can layer on top of those value propositions. Are changing the way that 4 billion people bank.
Let me move on to here. Look at the BRICS news. A new international order.
Expansion of BRICS is evidence of the new multipolar order taking shape. New centers of political decision-making are emerging among states of the global south and the global majority. These countries stand for a more just and fair order based on sovereign equality of states and a diversity of civilizations. The transition to the new international order, as we have seen, will take a historical era, and it will be a thorny path. The expansion of BRICS.
Okay, I'm going to finish this video before we go in the group. I want you to hear this. I had played a little bit the other day of Rostin Benham, who's the CFTC chairman. I want you to listen to this bull, because I know the CFTC and the SEC have been working together. They worked together on the whole ETHgate thing, because Charles Gasparino said they were working together all the way till now.
What kind of pressure did you feel from your overlords? Or do you have overlords? Are you totally independent? And here's where I'm going with this. I can't understand sometimes Gary Gensler. He knows about crypto. He was at MIT. I wouldn't say he was 180, but he certainly got. It seemed like he changed a little bit on what he thought about Bitcoin, what he thought about crypto in general. And then you look at certain individuals, Senator Elizabeth Warren, take your pick, on maybe on either side of the aisle, I guess. It seems like more on the left are against crypto. And it even, Russ, I dare say, some of the bad actors, it wasn't about crypto itself. If you had a more open mind about crypto, you could have had maybe some regulations or legislations that prevented the bad actors. But because he had this default that all crypto was bad in the first place, where did that come from? Did that come from the administration? Did you hear similar things?
No, I mean, look, I can't speak for what others in the administration are saying.
Man, these guys are so disgusting. They all cover for each other.
Thinking,
they should be calling each other out.
You take these jobs, you have huge
for the better of this country.
Responsibility. You have a lens into markets that very few people do, right? Whether it's traditional derivatives, physical commodities, financial futures.
Do you agree with Gensler's view of Bitcoin? You have the same lens. Do you agree with
my translate, we have a lot of things we want to hide from the American public.
Not be driven by what I think or what I like or what I do.
Wait a minute. What just... I don't know what just happened.
My responsibility is as a regulator and what we observe in markets. So again, we have this legal framework that defines commodities a certain way. We have these tokens that the way they're constructed fall within the commodity definition of the existing law. And we've seen these markets emerge. They've grown, they've scaled, they've gone up and down, but we've seen sustained interest by retail investors. We've seen sustained interest by institutional investors. Right. And right now, unfortunately, we've seen sustained enforcement actions. And that's my problem, right? My number one responsibility is to protect investors, to protect the American economy. And when we see continued manipulation and fraud in this market, when half of my enforcement docket is crypto in an area that I don't have traditional regulatory tools, that is, in my mind, a huge red flag and something that I need to speak up. And I engage with Congress. You use the phrase overlords. I have authorizing committees in the House and the Senate. I have appropriators in the House and the Senate. I have to report to them. I have to tell them what I'm seeing. I have to tell them what I need from a budget perspective. And
Gary doesn't answer to them at all. They ask him for things and he doesn't give them to him.
I have to tell them what my recommendation to them is regarding writing law and where the law needs to be changed.
We all have overlords. We all have overlords.
Okay. Now, here we're going to do something interesting in DAIXRP.com today. You know what we're going to do? What we're going to do is we're going to talk about Tether and we're going to talk about Ripple stablecoin, and we're going to relate it to Ripple's current valuation. What might Ripple look like? What might XRP look like once this regulated versus like Tether, non-regulated stablecoin? What happens when a regulated stablecoin comes in and then regulations kick in which take away some of the Tether market share? I'm going to just go over some of the numbers just so you can think about it. All right. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that away we go.